What if the secret to unbreakable power wasn't about fighting back, but about not flinching in the first place? Think about it. Every single comment, every little setback, every time something gets under your skin, you're handing over a piece of yourself. You're giving them your power. But the truth is, the most unshakable people on this planet don't have fewer problems. Not at all. They've just mastered the one thing that truly matters: how they react. Imagine walking through the chaos of your life completely unfazed. No more late-night overthinking. No more emotional explosions that you regret moments later. Just complete, quiet control. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to train your mind to act as if nothing bothers you. Not as a trick, but as a discipline. So you can stop feeling like a prisoner to your emotions and finally start owning them. Because once you master this skill, I promise you, nothing and no one will ever have control over you again. Life is a relentless storm of noise, isn't it? The opinions of others, the daily frustrations, the unexpected roadblocks. The world never stops trying to knock you off balance. But what if I told you that real strength, the kind that moves mountains, comes from mastering the art of a calm indifference? Imagine yourself walking through that storm, rain and wind howling around you, but you don't even flinch. You don't lose your composure for a second. This is what it means to act as if nothing bothers you. The key is learning to create a space between what happens to you and how you feel about it. When you let external events dictate your mood, you become a puppet on strings you can't even see. But when you train your mind to remain unmoved, you become the master of your own universe. The world instinctively respects those who stay calm in chaos, the ones who don't crumble under the weight of pressure. When you embody this mindset, you command authority without ever raising your voice. You move through life with a silent power, a magnetic presence, and an unshakable confidence that speaks for itself. Think of the most influential people in history. They weren't the ones reacting impulsively to every insult, to every doubter. No, they moved with an air of absolute control, as if they knew a secret the rest of the world hadn't figured out yet. Their strength wasn't found in their ability to argue or fight back, but in their profound ability to remain completely unaffected by the noise. This is the true silent power of indifference. It's a philosophy you find woven into the very fabric of self-mastery. The most powerful lesson is that your thoughts create your reality. What you think, you become. If you are constantly reacting emotionally to the world around you, you are constantly giving away your power. But if you cultivate an unwavering, centered mind, the world itself seems to bend to your will. The people who achieve truly great things understand this principle better than anyone. Control your mind and you control your reality. Imagine this scenario. Someone insults you in public, trying to get a rise out of you. The natural, predictable response for most people is anger, defense, or retaliation. But what happens when you just smile and walk away? In that moment, you rob the instigator of their power. They wanted a reaction. They needed it. And when they don't get it, they are left standing there, unsettled and confused. You, on the other hand, walk away stronger, untouched, undefeated. This is a silent form of dominance that very few understand, but everyone instinctively admires. The exact same rule applies to failures and setbacks. When faced with rejection or a crushing defeat, most people let their emotions completely take over. They drown in a sea of frustration, losing days, weeks, or even years lamenting what went wrong. But the ones who understand the power of indifference, they see failure as nothing more than data, a lesson, an adjustment on the map, a stepping stone to the next victory. They don't internalize it, they observe it, adapt, and keep moving forward. So how do you actually cultivate this level of control? It all begins with training your mind, turning it into a daily practice. Start by building the habit of pausing before you react. In that sacred space between stimulus and response, ask yourself, does this situation truly affect my long-term goals? Is my emotional reaction necessary? Or am I just giving away my power for free? By consistently, consciously choosing non-reaction, you begin to build a suit of armor that shields you from the trivial nonsense of life. Another absolutely crucial element is visualization. See yourself as that person who moves through life unaffected. Picture a version of yourself who doesn't flinch at insults, who doesn't crumble under pressure, who meets chaos with a calm, knowing smile. When you reinforce this image in your mind day after day, it slowly but surely becomes your reality. Your mind is that powerful. What you repeatedly visualize, you eventually become. Let people wonder why you're not rattled. Let them question how you stay so damn composed. Because when you show the world that nothing bothers you, you control the game. You become an enigma, someone people look up to, but can never quite figure out. And in that quiet mystery lies your greatest strength. True power isn't about domination or aggression. It's about presence. A presence so strong, so centered, that it never needs to prove itself. A presence that commands respect through silence, through an unshakable state of being. Master this, and you will master life itself. To stay truly unshaken, think about the strongest people you know. They don't react on impulse. They don't let a wave of emotion dictate their next move. No, they pause. They assess the situation. They respond with quiet intention. This isn't because they lack emotions. It's because they have achieved mastery over them. Emotional detachment isn't about becoming a robot or suppressing your feelings. It's about controlling them so they don't control you. Picture this. You're in a heated argument, and the other person is desperately trying to provoke you. Do you bite? Do you let their words hijack your emotions? Or do you just smile, completely unaffected, knowing their words hold zero weight unless you choose to give them power? Emotional detachment is simply refusing to hand over the keys to your inner peace. It's about understanding that your inner world is sacred, untouchable, unless you grant someone permission to enter. When you adopt this approach, stress evaporates, clarity sharpens, and life's challenges become nothing more than interesting puzzles to solve, not draining battles to fight. Remember the principle that your thoughts shape your reality. Whatever you focus on, you attract more of. When you allow external events to dictate your state of mind, you become a slave to your circumstances, tossed around by the winds of fate. But when you seize control of your thoughts and emotions, you become the architect of your own destiny. Consider the story of a man who lost everything he had ever built. His business collapsed, his investments turned to dust, and he was left with absolutely nothing. Most people would have drowned in despair, but not him. Instead, he saw the failure as a profound lesson, not a life sentence. He understood that his mind was his single greatest asset, and no external loss, no matter how devastating, could ever take that away from him. With that unshakable mindset, he rebuilt his entire empire, stronger and wiser than before. This is the raw power of detachment. When you stop identifying yourself with your failures or your setbacks, you free yourself to rise above them, time and time again. A major reason people fail to reach their goals is because of emotional turbulence. They let fear, doubt, and frustration take the wheel. They start a journey with passion and ambition, but they quit the very moment real challenges arise. But those who have mastered detachment understand that emotions are just fleeting sensations passing through them, like clouds in the sky. They don't allow a temporary feeling to derail a long-term mission. They persist, they endure, because they have trained their minds to see obstacles not as roadblocks but as the very stepping stones they need to climb higher. Training yourself to be emotionally detached doesn't mean you become cold or uncaring. It means you no longer allow external forces to dictate your internal state. You can still experience profound joy, sadness, and excitement, but you remain the one in control. Your emotions serve you, you do not serve them. To develop this mindset, practice stepping back in emotionally charged situations. The next time someone insults you, just pause. Instead of reacting, simply observe your feelings. Ask yourself, does this person's opinion affect my life in any meaningful way? More often than not, the honest answer is a resounding no. By choosing not to react, you reclaim your power from them. Detachment also flows naturally from having a clear, undeniable purpose. When you have a vision so strong it pulls you forward every single day, the petty distractions of the world no longer shake you. Your focus becomes unbreakable, because you understand that your energy is far too valuable to be wasted on things that do not serve your mission. The world belongs to those who have mastered themselves. The more you cultivate this emotional control, the more unstoppable you become. While others are panicking, you remain calm. While others are reacting, you are responding. And in doing so, you gain a strategic advantage that few will ever possess. True strength is not about physical dominance or loud displays of power. It's about possessing an unshakable presence, one that commands respect without ever having to demand it. When you master the art of emotional detachment, you don't just navigate life, you finally take control of it. For a moment, think about where you direct your energy. We are conditioned from birth to believe we must care about everything. People's opinions, their validation, their judgments. Society teaches us that our worth is measured by how much we invest in the thoughts and expectations of others. But true freedom, it arrives the moment you realize that most of those things simply do not matter. The next time you find yourself overthinking a situation, ask yourself this one simple question: will this matter in 5 years? If the answer is no, let it go. Most of what troubles us, a harsh criticism, a temporary setback, a fleeting moment of embarrassment, becomes completely insignificant with the passage of time. Yet we allow these things to consume our thoughts, dictate our emotions, and control our actions in the present. This is precisely why mastering indifference is the key to reclaiming your power. Indifference doesn't mean apathy, it means prioritization. It means recognizing that your energy is a finite, precious resource, and choosing to invest it only in what truly deserves your focus. Not every battle is worth fighting. Not every opinion is worth considering. Not every hill is worth dying on. When you stop reacting to every minor inconvenience, you regain control. You shift from being emotionally reactive to being strategically responsive. And that single shift, it changes absolutely everything. Think of the people you admire most. They aren't the ones desperately chasing approval or flying off the handle at every challenge. They are the ones who stand firm, unshaken by the constant noise of the world. They know exactly who they are, and because of that, they cannot be easily manipulated or influenced by others. When you adopt this mindset for yourself, something truly remarkable begins to happen. People start to respect you more, not because you're begging for their validation, but precisely because they see you as someone who cannot be moved. In a world where most people are desperate to fit in, to be liked, to conform at any cost, the one who stands firm in their own self-worth holds all the power. Consider a scenario where someone criticizes you unfairly. The weak-minded person immediately reacts. They get defensive. They over-explain. They retaliate. The strong, however, remain completely calm. They understand that words only have the power you give them. By not reacting, they maintain control, not just of the situation, but of themselves. And that quiet self-respect commands far more authority than any emotional outburst ever could. This same principle applies directly to success. Those who achieve greatness are not the ones who waste their energy on trivial concerns and petty dramas. They are laser-focused on their goals, refusing to be distracted by external judgments. They operate with a crystal clarity, knowing that every moment spent worrying about irrelevant things is a moment stolen from their progress. So how do you cultivate this level of strategic indifference? Start by evaluating your reactions. The next time you feel anger, frustration, or anxiety bubbling up over something minor, just pause. Ask yourself, is this truly worth my energy? More often than not, the answer will be a clear and simple no. Train yourself day by day to let go of what does not serve your ultimate purpose. Another powerful practice is setting clear priorities. Define what truly matters in your life, your purpose, your growth, your peace of mind. When you have a strong foundation of self-worth built on these pillars, the opinions and judgments of others simply lose their grip on you. You become untouchable. Not because you don't care about anything, but because you care deeply, fiercely about the right things. This is the secret that most people never realize. True power lies not in seeking approval, but in being unmoved by rejection. It is found in the ability to walk away from what drains you, to rise above petty conflicts, and to remain focused in a world designed to distract you. In the end, it's not about caring less, it's about caring wisely. It is about choosing where to direct your energy and refusing to waste it on what does not deserve your attention. Because when you master the art of indifference, you don't just survive, you thrive. And in a world where everyone is neurotically concerned with pleasing others, the one who stands firm in their own self-worth will always rise above the rest. Seeking approval is a trap. It places your happiness, your sense of self, directly in the hands of other people, making you completely dependent on their validation. But the reality is this: no one's opinion of you should ever outweigh your own. The moment you give someone else the power to define your worth, you lose control over your own life. True, unshakable confidence isn't given to you by others. It's built from within. It's forged through self-reliance, through knowing that you don't need anyone's permission to be who you are. Think about the most magnetic individuals you've ever met. They don't beg for approval. They don't shrink themselves down to fit into smaller spaces. They own every part of who they are, flaws, scars, and all. And that is precisely what makes them so powerful. Their power lies in their unwavering, unapologetic sense of self. While others are desperately chasing validation, they are walking their own path, with purpose. This deep-seated need for approval is almost always rooted in fear. The fear of rejection, the fear of judgment, the fear of standing completely alone. But here's the cold, hard truth. The more you seek approval, the more you surrender your power. You become a prisoner to other people's expectations, bending and twisting yourself into shapes that were never meant for you. And in doing so, you betray the one person you shouldn't, yourself. Freedom only comes when you release the need to be liked by everyone. It's a fool's errand to even try. Universal approval is an illusion. No matter what you do, someone will always have something to say. Some will admire you, others will criticize you, and a great many won't care at all. So why would you waste your precious energy trying to please an audience that can never be fully satisfied? Consider the people who have truly changed the world. The leaders, the innovators, the creators. They are not defined by their concern for fitting in. They are driven by a vision, by a purpose, by a fire burning within them that is far more powerful than public opinion. They face relentless criticism, yet they remain completely unfazed. Their confidence is built on something far stronger than applause. It is built on self-belief, and that is what makes them unstoppable. If you want to break free from this approval trap, start by asking yourself whose opinion truly matters. More often than not, the loudest voices come from those who are not walking your path. who do not understand your journey. Their words carry no real weight unless you choose to give it to them. Another crucial step is learning to validate yourself. Acknowledge your own progress. Celebrate your own wins, no matter how small they seem. When you start recognizing your own worth, external approval becomes a nice to have, not a need to have. You no longer need applause from the cheap seats to feel worthy. You simply know that you are. Detaching from validation doesn't mean becoming arrogant or dismissive of others. It simply means standing firm in who you are. It means respecting your own decisions, your own journey, and refusing to let anyone else dictate your path. It means understanding that your value is not up for negotiation or debate. The moment you stop seeking validation is the moment you start living freely. You no longer filter your words, your actions, or your dreams through the lens of other people's expectations. You move through life with authenticity, with boldness, and with a sense of purpose that cannot be shaken. Not everyone will understand you. Not everyone will support you. And that is more than okay. The ones who matter will respect you, not because you seek their approval, but because you don't need it. So choose yourself. Stand firm in your beliefs, in your values, in your vision. Let go of the need for external validation and embrace the profound power of self-acceptance. Because once you do, you become untouchable. Not because you have everyone's approval, but because you no longer require it. Criticism is inevitable, but how you handle it defines your strength. Most people crumble at the very first sign of disapproval. They take every single comment to heart, allowing it to shape their self-identity, dictate their actions, and slowly weaken their resolve. But why? Criticism is nothing more than words, opinions and perspectives that often come from people who don't even understand the journey you're on. The reality is that criticism only holds as much power as you are willing to give it. When you react emotionally, you are letting it control you. But when you filter it through logic, you remain in control. The strongest individuals don't let criticism shake their foundation. They assess it with a clear, calm mind, take what is useful, and discard the rest. No unnecessary emotion, no overreaction, just selective attention to what truly matters. The key lesson is this: filter all criticism through logic, not emotion. Keep what serves you, ignore what doesn't, and never ever let someone else's opinion disrupt your inner peace. There are fundamentally two types of criticism: constructive and destructive. Constructive criticism is immensely valuable. It helps you improve. It typically comes from people who have experience, knowledge, and a genuine desire to see you grow and succeed. This is the type of feedback you should welcome with open arms. Destructive criticism, however, is designed to do one thing: break you down. It often stems from jealousy, insecurity, or a complete lack of understanding. These opinions are utterly meaningless unless you make the fatal mistake of internalizing them. Imagine a sculptor working on a masterpiece. As he chisels away, people stop to watch. Some admire his work, some offer helpful suggestions on his technique, and others stand back and mock his efforts. Does the sculptor abandon his vision because of a few negative voices in the crowd? Of course not. He continues, guided by his inner vision, filtering out the noise. This is exactly how you must approach criticism. When someone criticizes you, pause and ask yourself, does this person have the experience or credibility to judge what I'm doing? If they do, then truly consider their words. If they don't, then move on without a second thought. Not all voices deserve a seat at your table. Remember, most criticism comes from people who have never even attempted what you are doing. Their words are often just reflections of their own limitations, not yours. Criticism is, above all, a test of your emotional resilience. Weak-minded individuals react impulsively. They get defensive, they argue, or they retreat into a spiral of self-doubt. The strong, however, remain unmoved. They acknowledge the criticism, they process it, but they never let it disrupt their inner peace. When you respond to criticism with a calm, almost indifferent focus, you show the world that your confidence is unshakable. Consider the great minds of history, the visionaries, the creators, the leaders. Every single one of them faced relentless, brutal criticism. Their ideas were doubted, their decisions were questioned, yet they pressed forward, refusing to let the outside noise deter them from their mission. Their ability to stand firm in the face of overwhelming doubt is precisely what set them apart. They understood that criticism is often just the price you pay for progress. If you want to develop this same mindset, practice detachment. The next time someone criticizes you, pause. Don't react immediately. Instead, analyze the words. Is there any real value here? If yes, learn from it. If no, dismiss it completely. When you master this simple habit, you free yourself from the emotional burden of constantly seeking approval. Another powerful approach is self-conviction. When you truly believe in the path you are on, external opinions simply lose their grip on you. Your confidence comes from within, not from the approval or disapproval of others. The moment you truly realize this, you become immune to shallow criticism. The world will always have something to say. Some will praise you, others will doubt you, but in the end, the only opinion that truly matters is your own. True power lies in the ability to hear criticism, evaluate it rationally, and move forward without ever losing your focus. So the next time someone criticizes you, remember, it's just noise. Learn from it if you can, but never ever let it define you. The strongest people don't fear criticism. They either use it wisely or they ignore it completely. Pressure exposes people for who they truly are. Some break, some fold. But the strong, they remain unshaken. Why? Because they prepare their minds long before the storm ever arrives. They understand that pressure is not an anomaly. It is a certainty of life. And when you expect challenges, you stop being surprised by them. The secret is to detach from the desperate need for control over everything. Understand this. Not everything will go according to your plan. People will disappoint you. Obstacles will appear out of nowhere. Unexpected setbacks will come. But you do not have to react emotionally. You can choose to respond with strategy, with calm, calculated precision. Most people crack under pressure because they are constantly resisting reality. They expect everything to be smooth, predictable, and within their grasp. And when life proves otherwise, they panic, they complain, they freeze. But those who train themselves to embrace uncertainty, they adapt. They move with the chaos, not against it. Think of a seasoned warrior. He does not enter a battle expecting an easy fight. He expects resistance. He expects ambushes and unforeseen threats. Yet he remains completely composed. Why? Because he has already accepted the brutal reality of conflict. He doesn't waste precious energy wishing for an easier path. Instead, he focuses entirely on execution. You must adopt this very same mindset. The world will test you. It will throw stress, failure, and doubt directly in your path. But if you have trained yourself to be composed under pressure, nothing will be able to shake you. While others are scrambling in a panic, you will be moving with precision. You will not react, you will respond. There is immense power in mastering control, not over external events, but over yourself. When you no longer need things to go perfectly, you become unstoppable. When you understand that pressure is inevitable, you stop fearing it. Instead, you begin to see it for what it truly is, an opportunity to refine your composure, to sharpen your steel. Think of the greatest leaders, the most unshakable individuals you can imagine. They do not flinch in the face of chaos. They do not crumble when things go wrong. Instead, they exude a profound sense of calmness, certainty, and control. This is what makes them stand out from the crowd. People look at them and wonder, how does nothing seem to faze them? How do they stay so composed while everyone else is falling apart? It is because they have trained their minds to expect difficulty. They have rehearsed their reactions long before the test even arrives. They understand that emotions cloud judgment, and so they detach themselves from unnecessary feelings. They prioritize logic over panic, and in doing so, they maintain a powerful advantage that most people will never have. To build this level of control, start by shifting your perspective on pressure. See it as a game, a test of your discipline. When you are faced with stress, challenge yourself to remain composed. Observe your emotions without letting them dictate your actions. The more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. Another essential practice is preparation. The strongest individuals do not wait for pressure to arrive, they train for it. They mentally rehearse worst-case scenarios. They condition their minds to remain steady even under immense stress. When you do this, nothing can catch you off guard. You become a strategist, not a reactor. Most people go through life completely unprepared, relying on hope rather than on discipline. They simply expect things to work out in their favor, and when they don't, they collapse. But those who have trained their minds for adversity, they do not break. They do not fold. They remain standing, unaffected. So the next time pressure begins to build, remind yourself, this is my test. This is my moment to prove my control. While others panic, you will breathe. While others react, you will calculate. And when the storm finally passes, you will still be standing, untouched, unshaken. So much of our suffering comes from one thing: attachment. Attachment to outcomes, to expectations, to things that are completely outside of our control. We grip so tightly to what we think should happen, to how we believe life should unfold, and when reality doesn't align with our desires, we feel pain. But true mental strength, the kind that brings peace, lies in the art of letting go. Picture a river. The water flows effortlessly around obstacles, never resisting, never fighting. It does not demand that the rocks move out of its way, nor does it stop flowing when it meets resistance. It simply adapts. That is how you must learn to approach life. Some things are going to happen regardless of how much you worry or stress over them. The job offer that never came, the person who walked away, the setback you didn't see coming. You can either resist these things and suffer, or you can adapt and move forward. The choice, as always, is yours. Letting go is not about giving up. It is about shifting your focus back to what you can actually control. Clinging desperately to expectations makes you fragile. It keeps you trapped in a miserable cycle of frustration, endlessly replaying past events, questioning what could have been different. But when you finally embrace the reality that some things are simply beyond your influence, you free yourself from an immense amount of unnecessary suffering. Think of the strongest people you know. They are not the ones who are constantly fighting against the inevitable. They are the ones who remain calm in the face of uncertainty. They have mastered detachment, not from life itself, but from the illusion of control. They understand that life is unpredictable, and that true peace comes from flowing with it, not against it. Most people spend all their energy trying to force outcomes. They attach their happiness to specific results, and if things go according to plan, they feel satisfied. If not, they fall apart. This is a fundamentally weak way to live. Real strength comes from being adaptable. When you detach from rigid expectations, you develop a deep resilience that makes you unstoppable. No single event, no disappointment, no setback can break you. The key to letting go is awareness. The next time you find yourself holding on to something too tightly, an outcome, a person, an expectation, just pause. Ask yourself honestly, is this truly within my control? If the answer is no, then release it. Do not waste another ounce of your precious energy on what you cannot change. Instead, redirect it towards something that will actually move you forward. Detachment is a skill, and like any skill, it requires practice. Start small. Let go of the minor frustrations of your day, the long line at the store, the slow traffic, the unexpected change in plans. Just observe how freeing it feels to not react, to not allow these small external circumstances to dictate your internal mood. Over time, apply this same mindset to the bigger challenges in your life. Some may mistake detachment for indifference, but they are not the same thing at all. Indifference is apathy. It's a refusal to engage with life. Detachment, on the other hand, is a deep and profound understanding that while you can participate in life fully, you do not have to be ruled by its uncertainties. You can care deeply about your goals, your relationships, and your experiences, but you do not have to suffer when things do not go exactly as expected. The moment you choose to let go of what you cannot control, you become untouchable. You walk through life with a sense of peace that others admire but can never quite understand. While they are consumed by frustration and disappointment, you remain steady, unshaken. They will wonder how you do it, why nothing ever seems to disturb your composure. And you will know the truth. You have simply mastered the art of letting go. So stop resisting. Accept what is, adapt to what comes. And above all, remember that the strongest minds do not cling. They flow. Just like the river, they move ever forward, untouched by the obstacles in their path. In a world that is completely obsessed with noise, silence is a weapon. Most people talk to fill empty space, to gain validation, to prove something to someone. But the most powerful individuals, they don't speak unnecessarily. They listen, they observe, they calculate. And when they finally do speak, every single word carries weight. Silence makes other people uncomfortable. It forces them to second-guess themselves, to analyze your thoughts, to wonder what you're really thinking. In any conversation, the one who speaks less often holds more control. Words reveal, but silence conceals. When you master the art of silence, you fundamentally shift the power dynamics in your favor. You gain control over conversations, over situations, and over how people perceive you. Most people are deeply uncomfortable with silence. They rush to fill it with nervous explanations, with justifications, with a flood of unnecessary words. But when you hold back, you force others to reveal themselves. The more they talk, the more they expose their thoughts, their insecurities, their true intentions. Meanwhile, you remain a mystery. And in that mystery lies your power. Imagine you're in a high-stakes negotiation. The person across the table presents an offer and expects an immediate response. But instead of reacting, you just pause. You let the silence stretch out. The longer you wait, the more unsettled they become. They start second-guessing their own position. They begin to fill the silence with better terms, with new compromises, with desperation. Why? Because silence creates tension, and tension creates leverage. This same principle applies in your everyday interactions. The next time someone insults you, just stay silent. Most people expect a reaction, anger, defense, retaliation. When you give them absolutely nothing, they lose their power over you. They start to wonder if their words had any effect at all. They start to feel foolish. Your silence forces them to deal with their own emotions rather than feeding off of yours. Silence is also a powerful tool for observation. When you talk less, you notice more. You see the subtle hesitation in someone's voice, the nervous shift in their posture, the glaring contradiction in their words. Most people miss these critical cues because they're too busy talking. But when you master silence, you become a strategist. You gather information while revealing nothing in return. There is a reason why the world's most influential figures are rarely the loudest people in the room. They are the ones who choose their words with surgical precision. They do not waste energy on meaningless chatter. They understand that speaking less does not mean knowing less. On the contrary, it often means knowing far more. If you want to cultivate power through silence, start practicing restraint. The next time you're in a conversation, just pause before speaking. Observe the room. Listen more than you talk. Let others reveal themselves first. The less you say, the more people will lean in when you finally do speak. Another way to harness the power of silence is to embrace it in moments of high emotion. When you're angry, stay silent. When you're insulted, stay silent. When someone demands an immediate response, delay it. The ability to control your speech in intense situations is the ultimate demonstration of discipline. And discipline commands respect. Powerful people are not reactive. They do not let their emotions dictate their words. They understand that silence can be a response in itself. A pause can say more than 1,000 words. A moment of quiet can shift an entire interaction. The next time you're in a situation where someone expects you to react, don't. Stay silent. Let them wonder. Let them reveal themselves. And watch how the power shifts completely in your favor. In a world where everyone is desperate to be heard, the one who speaks the least often holds the most influence. Master silence, and you will master control. Your mind is your battlefield. The thoughts you allow to take root will determine whether you win or lose the war of your life. Every doubt, every fear, every hesitation. These are enemies that must be conquered from within. The strongest individuals are not those who never experience negative thoughts, but those who simply refuse to be controlled by them. To train an unshakable mind, you must intentionally build mental habits, day in and day out. Gratitude to counter negativity. Discipline to override laziness. Detachment to eliminate suffering. Just as a muscle grows stronger through repeated resistance, the mind becomes resilient through daily training. You cannot expect mental toughness to magically appear in a moment of crisis if you have not conditioned yourself for it beforehand. Every single day, you must train yourself to be unfazed, to pause before reacting, to breathe before responding. Most people are slaves to their emotions, reacting impulsively, acting out of fear, surrendering to frustration. But the ones who control their minds, they control everything. This is how warriors think. This is how leaders operate. They do not allow distractions, disappointments, or insults to shake them from their path. They move through life with a deep sense of purpose, a deep-rooted calm that others cannot comprehend. And because of this, they become unbreakable. Understand this: mental strength is built in the small, seemingly insignificant moments of your day. It is in waking up early when you'd rather sleep. It is in choosing to stay silent when you could easily argue. It is in pushing forward when every cell in your body wants to quit. The mind, like a muscle, grows only through resistance. Every single challenge you face is an opportunity to strengthen it. One of the most powerful mental habits you can possibly develop is detachment. When you learn to separate yourself from your emotions, from outcomes, from the external chaos of the world, you gain a massive advantage over those who are constantly reacting. Detachment does not mean indifference. It means control. It means understanding that you cannot control the world, but you can always control your response to it. Imagine a storm raging around you. Most people get caught up in the winds, tossed around by circumstances, struggling desperately against forces they cannot control. But those with unshakable minds, they stand still, completely grounded, letting the storm pass around them. They do not waste energy fighting the uncontrollable. They reserve their strength for what truly matters. Another crucial element of this mental training is discipline. Your mind will always seek comfort, ease, and the path of least resistance. This is precisely why most people never achieve true strength. They give in to distractions, to procrastination, and to self-doubt. But discipline rewires the mind. When you consistently choose discipline over comfort, you reshape yourself, piece by piece, into someone who is truly unstoppable. Start small. Commit to daily habits that reinforce your mental strength. Meditate to sharpen your focus. Exercise to reinforce your discipline. Read to expand your mind. And keep your word to yourself, no matter how small the promise. Over time, these small, consistent acts build into something incredibly powerful, an unshakable mind. The world will test you. People will challenge you. Life will throw relentless obstacles in your path. But the moment you master your mind, nothing external can ever shake you again. You will move through life with a level of confidence, control, and power that few will ever achieve. And when others ask how you remain so steady, so unbothered, so composed through it all, you will know the answer. You trained for this. You built this, and absolutely nothing can ever take it from you. Real power moves in silence. It doesn't seek attention. It doesn't need validation. It simply acts. and lets the results speak for themselves. The loudest people in the room are almost always the weakest. They crave recognition. They announce their intentions to anyone who will listen. They desperately seek approval. But the strongest, they move quietly, strategically, and with deadly precision. If you want to be truly respected, stop announcing your plans. Stop explaining yourself to everyone. Just do the work. Just make the progress. Success is not built through words. It is built through relentless action. The more you talk about what you're going to do, the more you invite scrutiny, doubt, and resistance. But when you work in silence, no one sees you coming. And by the time they finally notice, it's already too late. The strongest individuals don't waste their energy trying to prove themselves to others. They let their success do all the talking. They don't argue. They don't seek to impress. They don't over-explain their actions. They just move with a quiet certainty, and that certainty commands more respect than any loud declaration ever could. The moment you stop looking for validation from the outside world is the moment you start becoming unstoppable. There's a reason why the most influential figures in history were not the ones constantly talking about their next move. They understood that power is not found in promises, it is found in execution. They did not explain their vision to those who wouldn't understand. They simply built, created, and dominated in silence. If you want to master this art, develop the discipline to keep your ambitions private. Work relentlessly, but do not seek applause for your effort. Let people wonder about your next move. Let them question how you stay so composed, so unfazed by the chaos. The less they know about your process, the more control you have. Silence is not passivity, it is strategy. It forces people to fill in the gaps themselves, to speculate, to overthink. And in their uncertainty, you gain power. When you finally do speak, your words carry immense weight. People listen, not because you demand their attention, but because they know you don't waste words on trivial matters. In a world where everyone is desperate to be noticed, be the one who doesn't seek recognition. While others are chasing attention, you chase mastery. While they are focused on appearing successful, you focus on actually becoming successful. This is the fundamental difference between those who talk about doing great things and those who actually do them. If you feel the urge to explain your plans, resist it. If you feel the need to prove yourself to a doubter, hold back. If you want to show the world your progress, let your results do it for you. The moment you stop feeding your need for external validation, you will notice something incredible happen. People will start paying attention. They will wonder how you did it. They will question how nothing ever seems to bother you. And that's when you'll know you've truly mastered the game. Not because you told the world, but because you showed them, without ever saying a word.